This is a message from all Americans who have taken over Washington. Enough is enough. We can't allow our beautiful country to be ruined by politicians who have been paid to represent us, when in fact all they seem to care about is winning the next election. When Obama became our president, we saw some of the nastiest politics being played out in Washington. From the beginning, President Obama was determined to fix the problem he inherited from the Bush administration. Millions of Americans were losing their jobs. Foreclosure was rampant. The banks, Wall Street, and the auto industry were about to collapse. The country was headed towards a recession, the worst crisis since the Depression of the 1930s. Obama called on Republicans to join in a bipartisan way to help solve these problems. But his request fell on deaf ears. The Republicans were determined to see him fail. They continually voted against all his policies. But the president was not about to stand still. He and his fellow Democrats generated a stimulus package that prevented all of our institutions from going over the edge. The stimulus also provided relief for each state, helping to save hundreds of jobs for teachers, policemen, and firefighters. Obama and Democrats then passed a health care bill unprecedented in the history of our country, but again without any support from the Republicans. For nearly 2 years, the Republicans were using delay tactics to slow the progress of the president and to prevent the country from moving forward. But thanks to the president, the groundwork was done, and he began to concentrate on other problems such as Iraq, Afghanistan, and more importantly, the state of the economy. In the beginning of his term, the president warned Americans that the mistakes of the Bush administration could not be solved in weeks or months, but more realistically, could take many years. Some of us became impatient. For a while, it seems as if the president's policies were not doing anything for them. Unemployment, foreclosure continue, then suddenly the tide seems to turn. There was a drop in unemployment and jobs were actually being created. The president rating rose to 53%. You can fool some people sometime, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. The American people began to realize that the president's policies were beginning to take shape, and he was truly fighting for us and not for political gain. Finally, 2 weeks before Christmas of 2010, a few Republicans, we have their names as the good ones, decided to support President Obama on a few of his policies. But the president would have to compromise with the Republicans by extending the tax cut for the wealthy in order to ensure that tax cut for the middle class remain in place, and unemployment benefits for the middle class would continue for another year. Shame on you Republicans for not wanting to extend unemployment for people who are without a job. We all know Washington is being polluted. For years, whenever a president goes into office, the opposing party vote against most of his policies. And it got increasingly worse as years go by. But the country was not in a situation like this. How can you vote 99% against the present policies when the country was in a recession? How can you face your children and tell them you are doing right for the country when you know you are just playing dirty politics? How can you face we, the American people, who you swear to represent, knowing you betray them? Here is where the road ends. We won't allow evil to overcome good. We won't allow this country, which our forefathers worked so hard to build, to be destroyed by a few politicians. We will stop the pollution to spread to our younger generation of politicians. Unfortunately, just when our country seems to be on the right track, we now have another problem facing the American people. The problem is John Boehner, the Speaker of the House, who want to cut so much from the budget that thousands of people will continue to lose their jobs, and thousands more will be unable to find work. Head Start and other programs for the needy will no longer exist, and who knows what other program will be affected by this. And for those politicians who are being paid by the big millionaire company to see that there is no progress in this country, we know your names. We are watching you with both eyes. The evil that men do, live after them. Republicans, wake up. We all know budget cuts have to be made. But let's get real. You don't make radical budget cuts during a recession. Are you serious? Cut the salary of the politicians who never did the work we Americans are paying them to do. They know who they are. They are like a fifth wheel to a coach. So, as we awake on this new day, think about why we Americans elect you to represent us. Think about the millions of people without a job, and millions losing their homes, the kids without meals, the tens of thousands homeless. Look what is going on in Japan and other parts of the world. Open your eyes. Put yourself in their shoes. We are sending Americans to other countries to advise them how to cooperate for the good of their countries. And we are moving in the opposite direction. Other countries are moving full steam ahead, and we are moving backwards. Even Mother Nature is tired and fed up with us. So let's be one, because united we stand, divided we fall. Love and togetherness in Washington will bring happiness to the American people and people throughout the world. So let's unite.